Real-time strategy games are one of my favorite genres to play on PC. In 2008, I was introduced to Company Heroes Gold Edition, and I was in awe with how awesome and realistic it was. But since 2008, Company Heroes was the only game that was able to fulfill my RTS addiction. Until early this year when I saw a trailer drop for a new Aliens game, and my first reaction was, this game is going to suck hard. But in my defense, the only good Aliens game I've experienced was Isolation. But to me, the franchise couldn't recover from what we got in Colonial Marines, and I was turned off from any idea of another Aliens game. But when the trailer first dropped for Dark Descent, I had hope that we would get a good and interesting Aliens game. So let's sit back, grab our pulse rifles, and get ready for the game that no one asked for and yet received. First off, I have to give props to the developers for taking the word fear and then RTS and putting them together. The game oozes of everything that made the original Aliens trilogy sci-fi horror. In the beginning, you are introduced to one of the main characters in the story as you learn the movement mechanics in the game. Meanwhile, the story wastes no time in going straight to hell as a xenomorph outbreak begins on the ship, and you are forced to learn how to survive without attacking any of the xenomorphs on the ship, which truly adds to a horror much similar to what we got in Alien Isolation. But you are eventually tracked down by a Xeno, only to be saved by the Colonial Marines. It was at this point that the game truly begins because we can now fight back. When we look back to when the trailer first dropped on this game, we were shown an interesting new mechanic that I haven't seen in an RTS game before, and that was the mental health and fear levels of your characters. And surprisingly, it was done very well in this game. The longer you have the Marines out in the field, the worse their mental state becomes, and it has real world effects in game. Thankfully, the game gives you ways to combat this both in the field and on the Otago. In the field, you can go into a room and weld all the doors shut, or on the Otago, have them speak to a therapist, which I found kind of funny. Your Marines are the backbone of your gameplay, so taking care of them will make or break your campaign experience, making this aspect of the game actually very important. That now leads me to another awesome part of this game, and that is the customization aspect of your Marines. As you progress through the campaign and even revisit different areas, your Marines level up and gain new abilities. That is, if they survive. Giving your Marines different military rankings and jobs allows them to carry different weapons like the smart gun or even a sniper rifle. The different rankings also give them different abilities that in ways can complement each other and can help in getting yourself out of sticky situations. Now that we got the Marines out of the way, let's talk about the aliens. When Aliens Isolation was released, it was very reminiscent of the first Alien movie, with you on a ship trying to survive a single alien. Well, Aliens Dark Descent is what I would call the successor to Aliens, and it shouldn't be too surprising given how it was marketed. But Dark Descent took what Aliens gave us and ran with it. On almost every map there is a queen, and as the days continue the horde grows stronger, which, for you, means that there are more xenomorphs to fight. When deployed on an individual map, there is a chance that killing too many Xenos could cause a horde to come down on you, or while walking down dark corridors, one could come out of the walls giving you the same fear the Marines and Aliens had. Every good game has to have a variety of enemy types and good AI. And thankfully, the aliens in this game are nothing like the aliens in Colonial Marines. They are smart, and they use the terrain to their advantage. In fact, during one mission, the aliens come up behind you to avoid the turrets that you set up, and it forces you to change your strategy. Lastly, I want to talk about how the game looks and feels. And while there are some parts that left something to be desired, I did enjoy the background and environment of the maps. Everything looks and feels exactly how Aliens looked, and you can tell that some extra work and care was put into this game. Sadly, it ends there, because the character models look terrible. And while that issue has been fixed in a recent patch, sadly, I had to review it as it was day one. But besides that, much like Company Heroes did for me in the World War II setting, Aliens Dark Descent does it for me in this franchise. I have to give props to developers for creating such a beautiful landscape that immerses you into the world and creating a new style of gameplay that changes your playstyle. While the game does have its glitches, this is what people want in a video game, and that is something new. You don't have to recreate the wheel, but adding something different and being creative is what can really define a game. And I'm hoping that we get future Aliens games like this, because this was truly something special. I only wish they took their time with it and made it graphically pleasing, because the character models were poor. And after defeating the campaign, there isn't much to do. Which is why personally I have to give this game a 6 out of 10 score. Because while Aliens Dark Descent is an awesome game to play, I can't help but feel like more should have been done in terms of character models and what is done outside of the campaign. In all honesty, what they should have did was a type of instant action or a evolving map like we see in Far Cry, the recent one, where the map constantly had different outbreaks of enemies that you had to fight. But sadly, it's not like that in this one, and I have found the endgame content to be boring. And besides that, I hope you enjoyed this review. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and keep gaming. This is the Afro Gamer Show, and we are out.